The situation in this story was dismal, to say the least. Saul had been anointed king. Jonathan, his son, who was a brave warrior, had just won an amazing battle with 1,000 men. And the Philistines were very upset. And so they regroup. They assemble an army of 3,000 chariots, 6,000 charioteers, and it says, as many soldiers as the sands of the seas. In other words, they had so many people, and the Philistines were always about intimidation. In fact, a lot of those foot soldiers were just peasants that were dressed as soldiers. They just intimidate the army of Israel. And guess what? They often were very, very successful, as they were in this moment right now. The Israelites were extremely intimidated. In fact, we pick up the story in 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 1, and it goes like this. One day, Jonathan, the son of Saul, said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let's go. Let's go over to the Philistine outpost on the other side." But he did not tell his father. Here's another option. As far as Jonathan was concerned, Jonathan is a brave warrior. I think he has a little bit of boundary deficiency, maybe a little ADD, right? He's sitting there trying to figure out what to do, and he's just sick and tired. It's almost as if he's thinking, if it's normal to wake up and just make it through the day, waiting for the enemy to pounce upon us, then I think I'm going to vote for abnormality. I think God is waiting for people to adopt the come, let's go mentality. The mentality that says, I'm not just going to wait here for the enemy to do something. I'm going to go and figure out what God wants me to do. I know it's not about waiting here. Do you believe that? Jonathan was convinced that the greatest tragedy in life was not the evil that we fail to avoid, but the life that we fail to live. So many of us in Christianity live our lives trying to avoid evil, but really what God wants us to do is to try to live good. And there's a big difference between living your life avoiding evil and living your life intentionally, purposefully living a good life, a life for God, a life where God's grace has taken over you, and you're drinking, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, from that river of victory. Remember that? In verse 6 says, Jonathan said to his young armor-bearer, "Come, let's go." Says it again. "Come, let's go over to the outpost of those uncircumcised men." Something about that sentence, for some reason, cracks me up. You know? Just the way, those uncircumcised men, you know? They should know better. And then he says, perhaps. Now, I've actually highlighted this word and underlined it. Perhaps the Lord will act in our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. This is what he says to the young armor-bearer. Hey, let's go pick a fight with those uncircumcised people. Perhaps God is on our side. I don't know about you, but if I'm the young armor-bearer, I'd be like, perhaps? Why don't you wake me up when you're sure? Wouldn't that be like, right? You know, like you're like a man of God, perhaps? I mean, what kind of story is this? It's a story of perhaps. Here's Jonathan, he's maybe trusting in God. What is going on here? I love this. Jonathan is almost saying, what if today, to this young armor-bearer, which we don't even know his name. This is a young adult with a Gen Z. You understand what I'm talking about here? This is a young man with a teenager. And he's talking to this teenager. We don't even know his name. And he says, what if today we abandon our fears and embrace God's sovereignty? What if today we decided to fully trust the unseen hand of God and step forward in faith? What if today we embrace uncertainty? Perhaps. And here comes Jonathan's great plan. This amazing military strategic mind. This is what he says. All right, here we go. Come on then. We will cross over toward them and let them see us. Again, if I am the armor bearer, I'm starting to go, wait, no, look, I'm no military strategist here, but what do you mean by let them see us? I mean, I'm assuming you mean sneak up on them, right? I'm assuming you mean, hide in the shadows, be stealth, camouflage. You don't mean like, no, we're going to let them see us. Yeah. Wow. Sometimes we have to risk visibility. Sometimes we have to stop hiding in the shadows. Sometimes we have to show up for who we are. And then the plan gets even better. He goes like this. He says, okay, so here's what we're going to do. If they say to us, once they see us, right? If they say to us, wait there until we come to you, we will stay where we are and not go up to them. You got that? Okay, this makes sense. But if they say, once they see us, come up to us, then we will climb up, because that will be our sign. That will be our sign. That will be our sign that the Lord has given them into our hands. Can't you just give me a better sign? Like, really, the sign is if they see two lonely soldiers, one with a sword, one without one, and they say, come up to us, that's our sign? Does anybody else think this is absurd or what? From this military strategist known as Jonathan, I mean, he's sitting there doing this amazing stuff here. And the armor bearer's like, all right, let's do it. I got it. And so this is what happens. I love this. So both of them showed themselves. Hey, guys, we're here. I don't know. Sometimes we read the Bible, we don't realize how funny it is sometimes. I just think this is hysterical. We're here. Look at us. Look, said the Philistines. The Hebrews are crawling out of their holes they were hiding in. And then it goes, the men of the outpost shouted to Jonathan and his armor bearer, come up to us and we'll teach you a lesson. So Jonathan says to his armor bearer, come up after me. This is the sign. The Lord has given them into the hands of Israel. Did you hear them? Just like I said, perfect, right here. Let's go. Wow. Sometimes I think we complicate God. Sometimes I think we complicate faith. Sometimes we try to mix faith with humanity. And then we wonder why we're struggling. And the rest is perhaps. Perhaps we need to live a life of perhaps. Don't you agree? And then I love this right here. Advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Endeavor to live the life you were meant to live, and you will meet with unexpected success. Amen. Henry David Thoreau. I don't know what you're going through right now in your life, but I want you to take this in a little bit. Advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. I take this for our church. I take this for our family. I take this in for all the things that I'm involved with. Advance confidently in the direction of your dreams. Endeavor to live the life you were meant to live, and you will meet with unexpected success. Do you believe it? Well, I can tell you this. Jonathan believed it. And so here's what happens. It says that Jonathan climbed up using his hands and feet with his armor bearer right behind him. The Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer followed and killed behind him. Beyond the shores of certainty, further than the limitations of proof, lies the land of faith. And those who venture there know not what might happen next. Yet still they go forward, whispering, what if? What if today we abandon our fears and embrace the sovereignty of God? I remember when Brianna was very, very little, she loved the water. She was like a fish. And I remember one day we were in a pool, and I was trying to teach her how to swim in the deeper end. You know, I could stand fine, but and I would tell her, come on, jump. And she'd come right up to the engine deck. No, I'm going to mommy. And I was persistent, and I called her, but come on, Brianna, you got this. You love the water. I'm here. I'll catch you. I'll make sure that nothing happens. You won't drown. I promise you. I don't know. And little by little, she got the courage. And she knew. There was no perhaps in her mind. She knew that if she jumped in, I'd catch her. And she jumped in, and I didn't even need to catch her. She was like, just loved it. Came up laughing. She just loved so much. To swim. Look, Mommy, I'm swimming now. What if today we abandon our fears and embraced God's sovereignty? What if today we decided to fully trust the unseen hand of God and step forward in faith? What if today we let God take us deeper so our faith could be made stronger? I think God wants us to learn how to swim in the deep waters, don't you? So come, let's go.